Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, and we have an actual pandemic in this country. What am I talking about? Well, often, we talk about the fact that there's violence in schools. School shootings are all over the news. They're played up. We have these drills. But the truth of the matter is, in the different power structures that surround us, nationally and internationally, because this pandemic goes far beyond just the United States, but we're going to expose some of the United States right now, where you have structures of power where you set up for serial abuse. And yes, we talk about Hollywood. And yes, we talk about the music industry. And yes, we talk about politics. But we will never give a pass to organized religion. And that's why this Associated Press report, and I did not read the actual Associated Press page, but this is just a republish, okay? It's on the Daily Mail. I use the Daily Mail because they had better pictures, some good summary. This is an extensive piece. Let me just, we're still going. An extensive piece. If you're honest with yourself, you really want to read the horrors of it, it's going to take you 30, 45 minutes to really get the grasp on this. Now, it starts out with nearly 1,700 priests and other clergy members that the Roman Catholic Church considers credibly accused of child sex abuse are living under the radar. Priests, deacons, monks, and lay people now teach middle school math. They counsel survivors of sexual assault. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine putting somebody in a position to counsel people that have had the trauma of sexual abuse by somebody who is a predator themselves, and more than likely going to groom select individuals and do the same thing again? The same thing again. And it's not just in schools. It's not just as counselors. Anywhere there are children, although it is very alarming. In this, if you read down, I believe it was they had 91 of these individuals that were working in schools. I think it was something like 28 who had lifetime accreditation and were going to stay there. Remember, they have no oversight by the law. And we're going to get to the 5,100 names in a second. Okay? 5,100 names. Okay? They shared 5,100 names. I'm gonna lay that home. And by the way, with those names, can you imagine the people they didn't share? This is a pandemic. This is the real thing. Dioceses and religious orders so far have shared the names of more than 5,100 clergy members, with more than 3/4 of the named released just in the last year. Just in the last year. When we talk about having to clean up our own mess and look at real issues, these men should be in prison. And yet, 1,700, according to the Associated Press, are living amongst us with no repercussions whatsoever, many of which are in positions with children. The AP researched the nearly 2,000 who remained alive to determine whether they have lived and worked, the largest scale review to date of what happened to priests named as possible sexual abusers. So a lot of them obviously have died. But when you think about how many of these monsters still walk among us, my God. In addition to the almost 1,700 people that the AP was able to identify as largely unsupervised, there were 76 people who could not be located. The remaining clergy members were found to be under some kind of supervision, with some in prison or overseen by church programs. More than 160 continued working or volunteering in churches, including dozens in Catholic dioceses overseas and some in other denominations. This is the movement of these people. You see how this works? We'll just move them. We'll put them somewhere else. And it's still being ignored. Even though you have these large-scale things happening in both Pennsylvania and in Baltimore, and I've covered them, and these victims are still coming forward. And remember, it's large institutions of power. Remember the story we did about Rockefeller University covering up the fact that one of their main doctors was a serial pedophile abusing his patients? I mean, we're talking about over 1,000 cases, I believe, that man was believed to have carried out. One man alone. One man alone. Okay? And I want to get down, again, this is a long one, to some of the other numbers here for the schools. All right? And remember, this is the Pennsylvania case that I was talking about. Before 2018's landmark Pennsylvania grand jury report, which named more than 300 predator priests accusing and abusing more than 1,000 children in 6 dioceses, the official list of credibly accused priests added up to fewer than 1,500 names. So I want that to sink in too. There's a lot to understand here. As bad as we thought it was, remember, 1,500 names, and then we had another 300, and then it hit 1,800 names. Now they're releasing 5,100 names. And of the 2,000 plus that are alive, okay, so that's 2,000 more, right? My God. 1,700 plus of them are walking around the streets unsupervised. Now, some of them are supervised, and like I said, some of them are jailed, but it's a minuscule amount for what these monsters have done. I mean, and listen, this is why we need a free and open press. This is why Reuters and the Associated Press are important, okay? The AP also determined that a handful adopted or fostered children, sponsored teen and youth adults coming to the U.S. for educational opportunities or worked with organizations that are part of the foster care system, though that number could be much higher since no public database tracks adoptive or foster parents. Now, think about that. So here you have them confirming that some of these people are in the foster care system or sponsoring kids coming over from overseas. Again, in positions to manipulate and abuse children. Let's continue down. Let's see. I want to get that number down. Let's see. The AP analysis also found that more than 160 of priests remained in the comfortable position of continuing to work or volunteer in a church, with 3/4 of those continuing to serve in some capacity in the Roman Catholic Church. All right? So let's get down. And I mean, these are just some of the monsters that have been accused. I really want to get to the school numbers because I think they're extremely important. Again, extensive piece. Props to the Associated Press for doing this. Let's see. He also confessed. Let's see. Where? Man. Let's see if I can pull. Again, it was so long ago. I'm sorry about this, guys. Maybe it's after this. Let's see, school. Oh, it comes up 28 times in here? My God. Here we go. Nearly 1,700 priests. Oh, no, that was in the beginning. Sorry, guys. School groups, no. School groups, scout troops, another one. No, man, that's how long this thing is. Sorry, guys. 2,000, schools and playgrounds, schools for troubled boys in Idaho. Man, I think I was right when I quoted the numbers in the very beginning of this video. If I was wrong, I apologize. Here it is right here. Man, that's how deep this is. The AP also found that 91 of the clergy members had been licensed to work in schools as teachers, principals, aides, and school counselors, only 19 of whom had their license suspended or revoked. 28 are still actively licensed or hold lifetime certificates. So I was correct about those numbers. Is this disturbing anybody else? Should these people be around children ever, ever, ever again? So once again, guys, we talk about Hollywood pedophilia. We talk about it in other industries, but it is rampant in this religious institution, especially in Roman Catholicism. And we've talked about it in Judaism. We've talked about it in Islam. We're not shying away from it. This is a real pandemic, a global pandemic, but one we need to fix here first. So guys, I'm doing 3 to 7 videos a day. I am a documentary filmmaker. Thumbs this video up, share it with others, get this news out. Because again, they've told us this and it kind of leaks out little by little. I mean, you were talking about this in the 80s. You were kind of nuts, right? Sinead O'Connor got a lot of flack for even speaking out against it. And now we find out it's worse and worse and worse than we can even imagine. And that thousands of these people walk amongst us. So, Loose Change, Final Cut, Fabled Enemies, Invisible Empire, A New World Order Defined, Shade the Motion Picture, all free on this channel in the playlist section of documentaries. Make sure to thumbs this up, share it. Again, I'm doing 3 to 7 videos a day normally. Last couple days have been 2, but we already knocked 2 out. I got a live stream with my good friend Anthony Creed, rapper out of the West Coast. I believe he's in San Diego right now to talk about a Western perspective. That's coming up in about 30 minutes. Did a great wrap-up of the Vegas tragedy 2 years ago, some of the big unanswered questions that no one's talking about. We did a real big video. By the way, all 4 of these, they got demonetized. You can imagine that, right? Well, I guess not the Burmese Brigade one, but, you know, I mean, that's private. The FBI has now been exposed in recruiting 300 plus of these terrorists. In other words, setting them up. And it's just a great video. If you haven't seen that, please do so. Like I said, subscribe now. And if you can, $5, $10, $15 means the world to me. We just started this month, this week. So like I said, let's get this Burmese Brigade one to 5,000 this month. Let's get to 40,000 subscribers before the end of the month. Let's really press forward. Share my content. Please, guys, I beg you. If you can't give money, give knowledge. That's all I can say. I can say this too. I love you guys. And let's expose the monsters that walk among us. I will see you on the flip side.